Ladies and gentlemen, where we last left off, all great stories come to an end. All great characters eventually have to hang up the golden wave maker. Today is that day. This is that moment in the fields of Poppy against Mike Garmentrout, the original hunter. To beat the hunter, it's Spleen City. We may not go all in on this run. This is the de-rusting run, but I'll tell you what we will do. We'll take it. Smell the poppies. Enjoy the savor, enjoy the flavor. Because I'm not saying this is the last time you're ever going to see him. But I'm most definitely not saying that. All right. All right, we got our first run ready. We got the spleens in the back pocket. Here we go, here we go, here we go. There's one. Michael. Oh, we stunned him. We'll BV up here, kid. Give us the second. We got the spleen. We want the liver. We got the liver. We want the pancreas. The pageantry, the music. Give him his moment in the sun to chop up the trees. We got the pancreas. Next up is lung number 1. He prefers his organs intact. Get in there, dice him up. Dice him up a little bit. We got all the features we want. He's gonna walk through the bullets today, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta balance the greed under the pale white moon. The suns. Gotta get in the body there. Gotta get in the body there. We gotta get inside a little bit. We'll take a 4-piece any day of the week. All right, this guy's got some sauce to him. Here we go, kid. I think we got to get out of the spleen business. We got 4 vital organs. That's enough. Keep him on the rope. On the ropes. All right, we got our hands full here. 8 BVs in the back pocket. Here we go, kid. Little bit of dial. Stick and move. Stick and move. He's got the groove, he's got the moves. But does he have the persistence? Let's stun him here. Get in here. Does he have the persistence? to go back to the back pocket when there's nothing left in there. And still go back for more. Take out the atrial fib. Here we go. Here we go. He's got the big stick. Here comes the sonic boom. Oh, hit us with the SB. Hang in here, big boy. Enter the choir. Get out of there, kid. 5 BVs in the dream right here. No more guns. We got no bullets. That's all. You gotta harken back to Andor Landor. How do you get out of a jail cell surrounded by Havel? One swing at a time. The pageantry from Andor Landor, the things betwixt. The MINAS TIRTH. Can he finish the journey? Will long. Cut the music. I think we gotta give him his due day on the catwalk.
Spam in the chat.
CERSO Yeet's journey comes to an end.
Let's go.
Lady of the TIRTH visits. We've been looking for her, Cersei. She looks a little bit different, but she's got the same thing on the mind that she's always wanted. TOS?
Let's go.
The heck is this?
Let's go.
This the Predator? Miyazaki says there's 2 coins in this hand. And when you go to take it, there's no coins. There's a dollar bill. Wow. We gotta fight that guy again, huh? Wow. So the BV. Oh, okay. So we don't got to fight him again. Moon presence. I cannot wait to hear the fake lore on this thing. All right, here we go, kid. Nice shot, nice shot. What is this thing? Andor Landor is burning it behind the scenes. No frontal, no frontal, no frontal, no frontal. 1 HP dream, 1 HP dream, 1 HP dream. Oh. Move, kid. Move, kid. Watch the green man. We're getting greed management LLC. Hang in here. It looks like resin balls. Balls of resin. Uh-oh. Floating balls of resin. Hang in here. Hang in. What happened to our health? What happened to our health? Press them. Oh, resin balls. Double up, triple up, triple up. Finish him! Yeah. Watch out, kid. Double up, double up. Double up, triple up, triple up, triple up, triple. Uh-oh, more resin balls. Those are instant drains, aren't they? The highest form of resin we've ever seen in any Souls game. Finish! It doesn't matter, the resin. The 1 HP dream. What was that resin? And Orlando has been extinguished with blood.
Are you cold?
She a puppet? What's with her fingers?
Oh, good hunter.
Childhood's beginning? Miyazaki. Ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea what that Subway sandwich was that she was holding. I don't know what that poppet was. The only thing I do know is that you may have seen the finality. The greatest Souls character of all time. The journey is complete. Dark Souls quadrilogy, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, and Bloodborne. Every enemy roasted, every optional enemy toasted, all the gold collected. You were here, ladies and gentlemen.
I was here.
If you were here, ladies and gentlemen, get your name in digital ink. But much like throughout the story of Miyazaki's fake trilogy, the quadrilogy, he misleads you to the very end. He wants you to believe that the scrolling of these texts, the scrolling of these digits, is the true ending of the show, the true ending of the trilogy, the true ending of Austin Provost Willem, Mikolash, Odeon, Doctor. I couldn't tell you who any of these bosses are. Father Jackaloni, I remember. Hunter of Hunters. No, it patches the spiders. I thought that was Kaz. Lawrence. That was Fire Austin. No idea who these other people are. Lodwig. So we could sit here and watch this fake lore. Or you can see the true conclusion of CERSO Yeet's journey.
The story, iconic. The pedigree, legendary. The name, CERSO Yeet. Throughout the years of battles, quests, adventures, and greed, CERSO has fulfilled his ultimate desire to do right by the Queen. And despite this tragic conclusion, our hero rests easy, knowing he did everything he could, and then some. The challenges he faced, some say that it was an impossible task for a mere mortal. But we know CERSO is no regular human. He's an icon, a legend, an individual with qualities and strengths the world may never see again. And now he can finally lay down his weapons and rest. Enemies crushed, challenges overcome, haters doubted. CERSO Yeet's story is finally complete.
Don't Pepe hands in the chat because it's over. Pog champ because it happened.
But you know what they say. No one's ever really gone.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. It's been, you know what? Since the start of the Souls series, it's been a lot of fun. It's definitely been a highlight personally. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you guys for supporting the journey of the greatest Dark Souls character of all time. So we wanted to put just a little finality closing of the book on it. With that being said, the real lore has ended. There's all sorts of storylines woven throughout. The Easter eggs buried throughout the series if you want to relive the pageantry of Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2.
All signed and sealed. Now, let's begin the transfusion. Oh, don't you worry. Whatever happens, you may think it all a mere bad dream.
Thank you guys for supporting the series. Thank you guys for supporting the Souls playthrough. It's been a lot of fun. Really, really, really enjoyed it. I think it's it brings a needed burst and some excitement to the show. So I can't thank you guys enough for that. With that being said, the real lore is over. Now we're gonna delve heavily, as promised, into the real lore of the game, quote unquote real lore. We got permission from Vadi Vidya on YouTube, and I'm sure we're probably gonna want to spam his link. And so we're gonna take a look at the explanation of what Bloodborne is, because there's a lot to take in, which was cool. This was recommended from the community, and Bloodborne's story explained. There's a 31-minute version and an 11-minute version. Thank you. Can we please get some dang pack spam in the chat? Yo, thank you for the support.
The oldest and
let's take a look at this. Thank you guys for all the love. Before we I'll slash marker here. Before we take a look at this, thank you guys for all the love on the show. Gabe Lantis, thanks for the 4 months. Smoke Shifter, thanks for the 7 months. Paper Feller for the 8 months. Tog for the 3 primes. Bo Snakes for the 3 months. Demon Vines for the 707. Spaceman Nikita for the 5 months. Wacky Username for the 15 months. Baloney Davenport for the 10 months. Barfly Jones for the 5 gifted subs. Heavy pack spam in chat. Barfly Jones for the 500 bits says I was here. That was the well-timed I was here. Appreciate the over-the-top support. CMAC19, thanks for the 4 months. And TJ Man 112. Let's go. The Mad Targaryen, 20 gifted subs. Thank you guys so much for the support. We will be opening up packs at the end of the show today. So let's go. We have permission to do this, which I'm excited about. And thank you guys. Like I said, a lot of the times, the best stuff comes from the community. So we're going to take a look
strongest emotion of men
at what the fake lore is about here. And I'm going to send a tweet to him. If one of the moderators can also, here, I'll drop the link to this. Because it is someone else's content, but we do have permission, which is nice. So I will drop this in the chat before we start watching it. If you guys want to make a command for it, that would be huge. But seriously, make a command for it. Before we do this, it's the show's been on for like 2.5, almost 3 years, and like we didn't know what worked. You kind of go back and forth, you try different things, and I appreciate the response in the Soul series, because to me it's like the perfect blend of, it's like a blank canvas with a really fun game, and your support. We wouldn't have played through 3 Dark Souls games and Bloodborne without you guys supporting it and enjoying it. So I truly appreciate it. Let's go. I'm gonna send a tweet to Vadi. Say, hey, we're watching your Bloodborne video. If you're around, stop in. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see how it is. I don't know. We may switch to the other version, but let's just take it all in here. I am kind of excited to see it, because I feel like this, more though than the other Souls games, is the most I would say confusing, but maybe the most non-obvious. Pack spam in the chat. Let's go. Yo, Jublings, thanks for the 5 gifted subs. I appreciate it. We had some dang pack spam in chat.
Oldest and strongest.
Here we go.
The oldest.
All right, so this slash marker, this is our reaction to the real Bloodborne, as told by Vadi Vidya on YouTube.
The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. H.P. Lovecraft.
Our eyes are yet to open. Fear the old blood.
These were the words spoken between Master Willem and Lawrence, from the cautious teacher to the ambitious student. Fear what you do not
Lawrence
understand.
was...
Fear the old
We may
blood.
pause some of this throughout
So
for further
begins,
explanation.
As you might have guessed, with blood. Ancient blood. Deep below the city of Yharnam lies the ancient underground labyrinth of Tumeru. You know it as the Chalice Dungeons. The old labyrinth was carved out by the Tumerians, superhuman beings that are said to have discovered a sinister truth. The hunters had another name for the labyrinth. They called it the Tomb of the Gods, for below they found traces of godlike beings named
So that's what
the Great Ones. The Great
Earl
Ones
Slug.
could function on transcendental planes of
Louder?
thought, meaning they had elevated their consciousness beyond the physical realm. The benefits of operating on this plane are unclear. Perhaps it was in the name of immortality, or perhaps power, as even beyond, the Great Ones could interfere with beings and events in the waking world. Whatever the case, it is clear that some sort of ascension took place, as there are numerous references to some Great Ones being left behind. Of all the strange life forms that reside in the nooks and crannies of the old labyrinth, the slugs are clear signs of the left-behind Great One.
What's a great one?
One such Great One appears to be abandoned Abritus, a left-behind being
Yo,
who apparently did not ascend
macaroni!
with her brethren. One day, Abritus would be discovered by the humans above.
A great
in
one
a
is an
crusade
alien
that
god.
begins with a character named Willem. Master Willem presided over a
Awesome.
prestigious place of learning, Bergenworth. Situated by
Burger
a tranquil
World!
lake and secluded within a gigantic forest, Bergenworth housed the minds that would change the world. In fact, everything sacred in Yharnam came to be traced back to Bergenworth, including the most influential characters within our story.
Everything ties back to
Bloodborne's lore
Burger
is
World,
very
ladies and gentlemen.
character-driven, and there are 5 who I'm going to help you become familiar with. There was Master Willem, Runesmith Carol, Lawrence, Mikalash, and Gurman. I'll introduce them to you in the order that they become relevant in the story. As I said, Master Willem was the head of the school at Bergenworth.
We didn't
The man
eat
was
him.
obsessed
We had the
with
opportunity
truth
to eat him.
and believed in pushing the limits of humanity. In almost every dialogue and description, Willem is referred to as Master or Provost, clearly deserving of a great deal of respect. Many would eventually diverge from his tutorage, but few can say that they didn't owe everything to his research. For while Willem presided over Bergenworth, the scholars
Burger
there
World.
discovered terrific things in the tombs below the city of Yharnam.
Once, a group of young Bergenworth scholars discovered a holy medium deep within the tomb. This led to the founding of the Healing Church and the establishment of blood healing.
It's hard to be sure exactly what was found, but we do know it was related to the Great Ones. On the ground floor of Bergenworth College, we find the Pearl Slugs, remnants of the Great
Pearl
Ones.
Slugs.
And at the very top of the
Did we
college,
get any of those?
we find the empty phantasm shell, an empty invertebrate shell that
We
is
got
said to be
that.
the familiar of a Great One. After this discovery, whatever it was that showed them that the Great Ones existed,
Burger
the Bergenworth
World
scholars
scholars.
launched an inquiry into the Great Ones and the Old Blood. For from this point onwards, there is an explosion of lore and history and references to what the scholars found in the tombs below Yharnam. Many of these references come from Runesmith Carol, the second character of our story.
Oh, is Carol the one
Carol
that runs from us?
transcribed the inhuman utterings of the Great Ones into what we now call Carol runes. In true Lovecraftian fashion, it is really
We
likely
sold
that
it
it's
for vials.
impossible for humans to comprehend the speech of the Great Ones. But Carol
That's
apparently
Mikalash
had a
is the one
knack,
that
a talent
hides.
for creating a visual representation of the Great One's words. The hunter who receives this workshop tool can etch Carol runes
I
into
thought it was
their
like
mind
Carol.
to attain their wondrous strength. Provost Willem would have been proud of Carol's runes, as they do not
Who's
rely
Carol?
upon blood.
Was
in
Carol the
any
dude
measure.
slumped over?
This statement is curious. It tells us 3 things. First, Provost Willem and Carol were close, as Willem would have been proud of him. And second, Willem didn't have a chance to be proud, so it's possible that the 2 lost contact. And thirdly, and most importantly, Willem would have been proud because the runes did not rely on blood. In other words,
Carol
Willem
is
did
never
not
in the
approve
game?
the use of the old blood, the blood found in the Tomb of the Gods. The Metamorphosis rune states, the discovery of blood made their dream of evolution a reality. Metamorphosis and the excesses and deviation that followed was only the beginning. Willem believed in a different path. He believed in attaining more insight, for humanity's eyes had yet to open. The eye
Carol
rune
is the
states that
manager of
Master
Burger
Willem
World.
looked to
Okay,
beings
like,
from
look,
higher planes for guidance.
Chat. Here's what I think we should do. And this is 100% out of respect. All right. This is like dissertation level of Bloodborne lore. So, what I think we should do is break it down in first grade vernacular. What happened to our stuff though? Let's keep track of it in first grade vernacular, all right? Is there a notepad? The heck is it? What is it called? Notepad? Type note. Yeah, whatever reason it's Minkist. Burger World had aliens.
And sought to line his brain with eyes in order to elevate his thoughts. And with these descriptions, you should have some idea of the scale of ambition of these characters. With the discovery of beings greater than them came a desire to ascend into godhood, to push humanity.
Okay, so here's what we got so far, chat. And stick with me here. So you have Elder Ones, also known as the Big Boys. And then you have Carol, who is the manager of Burger World. Okay, that's what we know so far from the video. All right, let's press on.
Into its next stage of evolution. The only question was how? Blood or insight? And this was a question that split the ranks of the Bergenworth scholars. It's how we arrived at the cutscene we started at earlier, with Master Willem and Lawrence parting ways.
Master Willem, I've come to bid you farewell.
Master Willem
I know.
and Lawrence
You think now
don't
to
like each
betray
other.
Me.
From this cutscene, we can infer that Lawrence was a high-ranking student of Master Willem, because firstly, Lawrence refers to Willem as Master, and secondly, Willem clearly regards Lawrence highly enough to call this departure a betrayal.
No, but you will never listen.
Lawrence disagrees. He does not see it as betrayal, and here we come to the heart of what their disagreement is about. Essentially, it boils down to the
Reading
difference
books,
between the
CERSO
two
Yeet
resources
doesn't
in the
read.
game. Willem believes man requires insight and knowledge to ascend. Lawrence believes in the power of blood. Lawrence attempts to reassure Willem, telling him he will always fear the old blood, but that this fear will not stop him using it.
So, quick recap.
Your character arrived in Yharnam from
We're
a
watching the
faraway
short
land,
version.
seeking a cure for some unnamed illness. You sign a contract, take blood, and become a hunter of the dream, tasked with ending the
Okay,
spreading
this
scourge of
is the
beasts.
first grade lore version. All right, this is more.
Like many
This is
hunters
like
before you, your consciousness is now bound to the hunter's dream, and you are able to project yourself into the waking world.
so we're
of Yharnam.
bound to a dream world.
At the end of the game, the nameless moon presence descends. This is a great one, an elder being that beckoned the hunters and conceived
Yo.
the hunter's dream. And you're here now asking why? Well, let me tell you the story up until this point. It all began in the tombs below Yharnam. Once,
this
what
would
we
be a
now
nice
call
little-
Chalice Dungeons.
Chalice
contained
Dungeons.
An entire
It's-
civilization.
It's
It
the crypt
consisted
of the Starks.
The Temerians and the Great Ones. The Temerians were a humanoid race, but the Great Ones were far from it. Each Great One-
Sumerians. Did we fight these guys? So these guys were
The
humans.
Temerians were a humanoid race,
Okay.
but the Great Ones were far from it.
Okay.
Each Great One is bizarre, unique, and trying to pin down their motivations as a species or individually is fairly futile.
Macaroni
The only
lady.
thing
I
that-
will say this. I think Vadi does a good job. It's like, hey, you're really into lore. You got the 30-minute version. Hey, you just want to have an idea of what's going on first grade vernacular. This was the video for us. All right.
What's clear about them is this. The Great Ones, like any other race, want to reproduce, but for them, it's difficult. Each Great One appears to be truly unique, and since that makes
can't
mating
reproduce.
impossible, they impregnate their subjects instead.
We don't need any first grade explanation on that, but it makes a lot of sense. I think to tie it to real science, I think it's like a liger. I don't think a liger can mate with another Liger. I don't think it matches
The
up.
Ring of Betrothal states that in the age of the Great Ones, certain Tumerians were permitted to bear a special child. This union was a blood contract, our first reference to the blood of the Great Ones. Most of these births failed, but some didn't. At some point, the Great Ones ascended. We know this because there are multiple references to some Great Ones being left behind. The Great Ones moved on to the Nightmare Realm, and the Tumerians were left alone.
So, just quick recap. So, because the big boys, the Great Ones, can't reproduce, they used other vehicles to carry the...
To
I hope they talk about Kaz in this, Orphan of Kaz.
Great Ones. In time, the Tumerian civilization fell to the plague of beasts. Perhaps it was something in the blood.
Is that resonant attack?
Eventually, a group of Bergenworth scholars stumbled upon this place, and the events of Bloodborne were set into motion. The scholars discovered the old blood of the Great Ones, a miraculous substance that made their dream of evolution a reality. The school of Bergenworth was headed by Master Willem. An ambitious, yet cautious man, Willem desired to ascend to a higher plane of existence, and believed that the knowledge of the Great Ones would lead him there. On the other hand, one of Willem's associates, Lawrence, believed that mankind
How
could
did Lawrence
ascend
turn
through
into
use
a
of the old
Fire
blood,
Austin?
the blood of the Great Ones. Lawrence seems headstrong and rash, where Willem advised caution. When we inspect the skull
blood?
after defeating Vicar Amelia, this is the conflict we see.
No, but you will never listen. I tell you, I will not forget our adage.
Lawrence tells Willem he will always fear the old blood, yet he goes on to found the Healing Church, a faith built upon the miraculous old blood.
Andor Landor.
Meanwhile, Willem remains behind at Bergenworth and decides to pursue alternate
old
methods
burger
to
world.
ascension.
Okay.
Lawrence and his church were central to the power in Yharnam. Perhaps they even built the place. Blood ministers doled out the miraculous healing blood to the populace, and the city evolved to reflect that. People came from far and wide, just like you did, for the chance to be healed. The Yharnamites, whose doors you knock on, are quite arrogant and proud, and dislike outsiders.
Is that because they
However,
sipped on the blood?
After the old
So the people with the talkable people, they sipped on the blood so they're safe?
blood was introduced into the populace, people began turning into beasts.
You stop right there.
They're kind of arrogant, aren't they?
Closer.
In response, the church founded the Hunter's Workshop, with German at its head. German's methods defined beast hunting.
Wait, that's
He
who we
abandoned
fought in the end?
notion of armor and dressed instead for speed and agility. With a
Speed and
firearm in
resin.
one hand and adaptable melee weapon in the other, the forces of the workshop became the city's primary defense against the beastly threat. Perhaps the workshop was even a secret
Why did he fight
organization,
us then if
for
we were
item
doing his work?
descriptions note that they worked under the cover of night, and the location of the workshop was certainly difficult to find. In time, the workshop would be abandoned in favor of the black and white church hunters. Perhaps German's
Hunters.
workshop failed in keeping the scourge a secret. Perhaps the church required a more intimidating approach. Whatever the case, the hunters were fighting for something, and it wasn't just to keep the populace safe.
It's a good weapon.
Turns out the Hunter's Workshop was just one of 3 branches of the church. The others were the choir and Mikolash's School of Mensis.
Licorice's
The choir
Palace.
existed to continue the work that began at Bergenworth, namely the pursuit of insight by way of communion with the Great Ones. The
Okay.
choir's work eventually led them to an audience with Abritas, a left-behind Great One.
Okay, I'm
The
kind of
School
following
Mensis
this.
was, as the name implies, devoted to research and learning. And while item descriptions state that Mensis was allied with the Healing Church,
Like Mensa?
in our adventures, it becomes clear that the school is responsible for most of the problems in this world. In Bloodborne, it's difficult to point to a main antagonist, but if I had to, I'd point to Mikolash, who was the head
Licorice.
of the School of Mensis. Somehow, Mikolash got his hands on the umbilical cord of a Great One. These cords are very important. For simplicity's sake, think of these umbilical cords as powerful relics that enable contact with the Great Ones. There are 3 of these umbilical cords in-game.
So those aren't so minkus anymore. When you understand, like, why the big boys, like, had to do what they had to do to reproduce. I get it
They
now.
are used by 3 of the main characters. One cord was found by Mikolash, head of the School of Mensis. One cord is held by Willem, back in Bergenworth, and another cord went to German, of the Hunter's
There's like
Workshop.
deep story behind this.
Mikolash used his cord to perform a great ritual. It ripped a lecture hall of Mensis into the Nightmare Realm, so that they could be granted audience with a being named Murgo. It is believed that Murgo is the child of a Great One, birthed through Yharnam, the Tumerian queen. There is little known about his power, his origins, or his significance, so just know for now that Mensis wanted audience with Murgo, but that this audience came at a great cost. A note in the village.
Okay, Murgo is a great one. So we have Murgo, Macaroni Lady. Those are and then Umbilical Moon Lady. Those are the 3 great ones. Okay.
Village reads, "The Mensis ritual must be stopped, lest we all become beasts." Willem used his cord to, and I quote, "elevate his being and thoughts to those of a great
Where did we
one
get that
by
umbilical
lining his
cord
brain
from?
with eyes. In the lake below him, we come across Rom, the vacuous spider. Many descriptions in-game
Not a
tell
great
us
one.
that this spider hides all manner of rituals. In particular, though, it seems that the spider is holding back the effects of the Mensis ritual. When Rom is gone, a blood moon descends,
Rom is a
blurring
great-
the line between beast and man. After this event, we find the path to Yahar'gul open, so our character can go through and silence the harrowing cries of Murgo, the infant Great One. The 3rd umbilical cord found its way into German's hands.
Real quick. So we got 3 great ones that we know of. We have Rom, Macaroni, Murgo, Umbilical Moon at the end. Who's the 5th great one?
After his
Kaz?
hunter's
Is
workshop
Kaz the
disbanded,
thing on the
German
beach?
was alone and unimportant.
Or-
His only companion was this doll, which he appears to have crafted with love and care. Perhaps this doll's creator had and unimportant. His only companion was this doll, which he appears to have crafted with love and care. Perhaps this doll's creator had wished for such a friend, albeit
She's
in
the
vain.
doll.
His cord reads, "The
That's
great ones
why
that
she had the
inhabit the
fingers."
nightmare are sympathetic in spirit and often answer when called upon." This 3rd cord summoned the moon presence, a great one which beckoned the hunters and conceived the hunter's dream. German got what he wanted, a companion and a purpose, but he becomes a puppet, endlessly finding and guiding hunters through the dream and out into the world, assumedly under the influences and desires of the moon presence. So, to recap, Mikolash, whose character is ever ambitious to ascend and become a great one, used his cord to establish contact. He sacrificed his school of Mensis and brought the consequences of that contact upon the world.
Okay. Mikolash.
Willem, ever cautious, used his cord and Rom to mask the effects of that ritual. And German, lonely and lacking purpose, became a puppet to another great one named the Moon Presence. He guides hunters through this dream and out into a few select locations. The hunter's dream ends when you successfully hunt down Murgo and his nightmare of Mensis, suggesting that Mensis was the root of the scourge of beasts, and perhaps that the Moon Presence wanted the child of another great one dead. When you silence Murgo, you return to the workshop on fire. The dream's purpose is fulfilled. You approach German, host of this hunter's dream, and he
it just keeps sending hunters through because he's being puppeted by Moon Umbilical.
tells you that he has the power to free you. If you choose this option, you are unbound from the dream. You lived through the hunt and saw the sunrise over Yharnam. If you reject German, the Moon Presence decides it needs another host for its dream. You become captivated by the Moon Presence and pledge to watch over the hunter's dream. But there is a third option. Ascension.
Oh. So we could
You
yeet
lived through the hunt.
and we lived
saw the
through it. That's
sunrise
option
over
one.
Yharnam.
Option two is the
If
confusing
you
one.
reject Gurman, the moon presence decides it needs another host for its dream. You become captivated by the moon presence and
CERSO yeet could have been left to rot in Andor Landor.
pledge to watch over the hunter's dream.
Wow.
But there is a third option, Ascension. When the conditions are right for a great one to be born, the mother and child can be harvested for an umbilical cord. But all great ones lose their children and yearn for a surrogate child instead.
I don't think we
A
got that
replacement.
one.
Mikolash, Willem, Gurman, they all found umbilical cords somewhere in the past.
Hold on. I was
and
yapping
used
during that.
Replacement, umbilical cord. But all great ones lose their children and yearn for a surrogate child instead. A replacement. Mikolash, Willem, Gurman, they all found umbilical cords somewhere in the past and used them for their own needs. But ultimately, each of them was unsuccessful in the contact that they had with the Great Ones. However, the notes of the Bergenworth scholars contain this information. 3 third chords. Hunt the Great Ones. Hunt the Great Ones. If you consume 3 chords, you can resist becoming the moon presence's captive. Instead, you hunt the moon presence, and afterward, you become an infant Great One, living inside the dream the moon presence conceived.
Whoa.
You manage to escape captive. Instead, you hunt the moon presence.
You kill the big
and
boy.
afterward, you become an infant Great One, living inside the dream the moon presence conceived.
CERSO has become a great one.
As no one else before you did, and you will lift humanity
Protected
into
by
its next
Cersei.
childhood.
I wonder what we look like. Oh, can we get some easy clap in the chat? For Vadi Vidya. I mean, like, look, that's some deep lore, but I'll put that at like as close to first grade explanation as you can get. Now, I do want to see what he has to say about Kaz. He's got to have a Kaz video, right? Wrath of Mother Kaz. What's his Kaz video? DLC? Bloodborne explained DLC Vadi. DLC vids. Bloodborne DLC. It looks like it's like gameplay. DLC insights. But is there anything just on Kaz? This one? See, that looks like a fight to me. 50 insights. Or there's another insight. It's like 10 insights, 15 insights. That's not a fight? Okay. This is the one we want to see.
This area and what happened unique against. I modeled this character after the doll ages ago.
Nah, I like his other kind of videos. Let's end with this one. It's number 1. This looks like a fight
what's
video.
up, guys, and welcome to the Old Hunters DLC.
Nah, I like his produced stuff. Not that I don't like that stuff, but let's go. There's like 15 insights. There we go.
There are a lot of things in Bloodborne that I never really got to talk about. These are discoveries that shocked or impressed me in some way when I learnt about them. So when I tell you about them today, I'm
you said
kind
this
of
is the
betting
one.
that you guys will give the same response. Let's get started. The first is something that blew people's minds about 5 months ago.
All right, so you said go back to number 1. Wrath one? Okay. Is it we just want to learn about Kaz. So is that 1 or 3? Read the titles. Okay. We'll give it a second to warm up.
I've got some theories on this, but it'll have to
22 minutes though.
This area, and what happened here long ago, is what Maria hides behind the astral clock tower. This is the fishing hamlet, the third and final stage
this is produced.
of Bloodborne's DLC. Beneath the surface, off to the left and the right, is the city of Yharnam. The nightmare we progressed through, from this perspective
Chrome
at
is
least,
yeeting right
resided
now. Hang on.
beneath the Great Lake all along, which explains why all the patients in the
Hang on a
previous
second here, guys.
episode heard the drip.
Sometimes my Chrome gets yeeted because I click around too much. The click master. Hang on. All right. So let's watch. I do want to watch it, but let's watch it at full. Yeah, it's not giving me the options. So you guys are saying, so that's the right one to learn about Kaz. Some say Cosm. We do have 24 Chrome windows open right now. Okay. Close Photoshop.
I've got some theories on this, but it'll have to wait for prepared.
There we go.